Yes.
Yeah, good. 7 o'clock. What calls me to order Monday, December 21st? Roll call, please.
Mayor Anderson,
Here.
Troy Gould,
Here.
Gerald Delaney,
Here.
Troy Doden,
Hello.
Art Schott,
Here.
Teresa Horgan,
Here.
Mike Peterman.
Present.
Agenda was sent out. Is there a motion to adopt the agenda?
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second. Motion by Peterman, second to adopt the agenda. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is adopted. Minutes for December 7th, 2020 minutes for the meeting was sent out. Is there a motion to approve the December 7th, 2020 minutes?
Delaney so moves.
Doden second.
Motion by Delaney and seconded to approve the December 2020 minutes. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes approved. Visitors to be heard. Mr. Lou Kurtzman.
Yes. You want to talk about the dog park first? I talked to Swanson's and he was gonna talk to his sister and see what it was like. But I also talked to, Ron and the people at tore down Conklin's. What's their last name?
Bird.
What?
Emily's, me?
Yeah.
John.
Tom Bird.
Tom and John Bird.
Tom. And he said they would be more than willing. He said, we don't have grass there. He said, but they would be more than willing to put up a space. And between that and the Swansons at the motel, well, even the Swansons at the motel would benefit from that because they have hunters and they're dog friendly and have a place for their dogs to go out. But the parking at Berg would be even better. And he said, well, there's no grass there or anything. And I said, I can take care of that. You know, and I would be more than willing, you know, I'm Social Security, disability, but I still do what I can. I still have some equipment. And if we could put up 100 by 21 foot area there, they would have parking there. People would, to the city of Beresford, both the gas stations, Burt's, the motel, people make it a stop when they know where they can let their pets out and run. You know, I've traveled enough with pets that we make stops where there are pet-friendly areas. But this buddy of mine that I travel with that we do this, he said, well, also consider, because they go to the ones in Sioux Falls, he says, and the city of Beresford needs one. And so if you like put up a small one, like on the walk path, the Methodist Church, right there. I drive into town every day. I live south of town. And people are on that dog path, and they got their dog on leashes, and they're trying to pick. They get to that spot, and I believe, Elaine, do you have the pictures of the dog park?
I think they're all in the council packet.
Yeah, they all have them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you can build them different sizes, but the staging areas, all it is one small piece of cement, 2 gates, and whatever the wire costs. And I would be more than willing, you know, I've done blueprints and read, you know, everything you can do to donate my time to do that. Buy the materials, I'll lay it out, you know, and I can do that. And I think it would be a benefit for Beresford to not only have for the city people, But to get people to stop on the interstate, especially if the birds are willing to set one up right there. People will spend the night. People are gonna spend money at the gas station, at the restaurants. You know, I don't know what they cost. I can do some more research on that. And, you know, I can talk to Michael Spence. I can talk to other people that have done it and see what it costs.
So from what I understand, you're talking about multiple locations then?
2 locations.
2 locations.
One for the locals
Okay,
and then one to draw business
okay,
into Beresford.
okay, I'm with you.
The people that if they know that they could stop with their truck, and a lot of truckers, you know, have pets with them, and then they take their dogs out. But if you look at those pictures, you know, they actually have a little station where you can grab the gloves, put it, dump their dog poop in, and do whatever. And there's very little maintenance.
My suggestion, Lou, would be to maybe set up a meet with the Parks Committee and the Park Superintendent. Because if you're talking about, because I got a lot of questions that came to mind when you're talking about this. You're talking about a joint venture between the city and private landowners to put up a public use facility on private ground. So my questions are, you know, I have a hard time believing like birds or Swansons would want the liability exposure and the maintenance. Who's going to maintain it? You might say you are now, but what about, is the Parks Department going to be asked to maintain
The
it?
Parks Department,
But it's private property.
they would probably be responsible for dumping the garbage. But as far as the grass and stuff goes, there's no mowing. Pets love long grass. I mean,
Well, you
Seems
have
like
to
there's
get
one-
in there and get it mowed.
Seems like there's a lot of details to kind of hash out. Good idea. But
I just think it would be really good, because like I say, I come into town every day from south, and I see how many people got their dogs on long leashes, and they're everywhere, and if they could just, and you put a picnic table in there, and if it's used a lot, well, then you put a little canopy up, you know, which is a minor expense.
Oh, for Mr. Freeman.
And then they could sit in there and let their pets run and stand under the shade.
Lou,
You know.
he's got one question for the attorney. If we get private land, could we, sign a lease or something, then with our insurance covered?
Yeah, we'd have to lease it for.
You know, like $1 for 5 years or whatever, and then our insurance would cover it, just to make sure we got.
They should have to have a contractual arrangement with them. Would relieve them of liability concerns, and
Okay.
the city would have to.
That was my question.
I mean, if I was a private owner, that's what I would certainly request at a minimum, so.
But how much of the area is leasing, and how do you access that area by driving through private property to access it? It's just a lot of details.
Yeah,
What size are you thinking? I mean, is it as big as this room here, or I'm looking at these pictures and
A
some of them look
lot of them
small.
are even smaller than this.
Oh, they're smaller than this. Okay, I don't.
You know, and that, for the local dogs, that was fine. And I've seen them where they have, and they're 4-foot fences. And, then some of them actually have a separation between them for small dogs and large dogs. But you got your staging area where you walk in, if you're looking at the pictures.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking.
And, you walk in there and, the dogs either get along or they don't, so they go to one side or the other.
I got you. That's, okay, that's what the pictures are showing there. Okay.
So Lou, there's nothing in the budget for this, for something like this for this year, for 2021? So is this something
I haven't looked into the cost of them or anything yet. I just, traveling, I just see it was a really, really good idea. And I couldn't believe we stopped at the one, at Owatonna and ran into a college buddy from 40 years ago. He came with his wife, and he's got Belgian Malinois, and they got a Chihuahua. and I said, "You sure that Chihuahua's not gonna tear that dog apart?" They staged and they got along great. There was no problem. So
We have a Parks, Pool, and Recreation Committee, and there's 3 members on the council. I think maybe the first step would be to meet with them and go over some details and get some questions answered.
Yeah.
And then maybe we can come back and have a kind of a bit more of an organized plan.
well, a convenient spot in town for the in-town dogs is one thing. But I'm thinking the one out by the interstate to draw traffic. People are gonna stop if they know they can let their dogs out and run
So I think,
and go to the bathroom.
so I think like what the mayor is saying, I think, so do you wanna try to get some pricing on the fence and stuff?
I'll check into that.
Okay.
I'll do all of that. Cause I have no idea.
Explore
But
some
it's
of the
all the
options.
plastic coated fence. I mean, they're,
Like right now, I think
it's not
a good idea.
galvanized fence.
I think it's a good idea, but we need to get a little bit more specific about what, and how, and when, and where. And I think if we would get the committee, which again is 3 members, it's Troy Boone, Art, and Teresa, to hash out some ideas or some details, then we could come back and.
I can do some more research on this. I can, you know, and I can come back and give you some numbers.
What
What it's gonna
liability are
be.
we looking at, Tom?
But what I'm thinking is, what I do, especially if they don't open the border to Canada next year,
Nothing specific.
I have nothing to do. Cause I go out to Canada for 2 months. And if they don't do that, I have nothing to do. And I'm on Social Security, Medicaid, disability. But my mind still works and I can still do this stuff. And anything I can do to help, I will. It's just my nature.
I like the idea, I think we just need to get with the small the committee, come up with a plan.
Yep, and we can look at the sizes. You know, look at the different sized ones and what we can do and what the cost is. I have no idea what plastic coating.
No, I think that's what we can talk about in the future, but I think the idea is sound. I think the council is interested in the idea, but we need to get that committee together because we have no idea what the costs are.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
The committee is me and Art and Teresa, and we'll have Art get a hold of you. And then we'll set up a time.
What's your cell phone?
what?
What number to get hold of you by?
What's your
Cell
cell
phone.
phone? What's your cell phone?
605-957-5552.
Wait a minute, 605 957
5552.
5552.
2.
What's the best time to call you during the day?
I'm pretty much deaf, so you're better off texting me. And then I'll call you back.
Okay, I'll text you like after,
Call, and if I don't answer, leave a text.
well, most likely be in the afternoon, like after 3 or 4 or 5.
I'm around all the time.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Like I said, I got a phone call 5 minutes ago, or 5 minutes to 7, and my nephew up in Sioux Falls has no hot water, so I gotta go put a hot water heater in tomorrow.
Alright.
I never know where I'm gonna be.
So what's your next,
Everybody knows I'm free, so,
what's your next item you want to discuss?
the next thing was my, water bill. 160,000 gallons, and then another 54,000 gallons. And I turned it in, and it was a vandalism deal. And I don't know, I live a half mile off the interstate. I don't know if somebody car overheated, they came and they filled a 5-gallon pail full of water, put it in their car and took off and left my hydrant on. I'm a plumber. All my hoses are off. I haven't watered my garden since August. This was just, and it's way back behind and I don't see it. And I was just wondering if I could get a break on this. You know, I realize it all ran through the meter. Is there a cost that we could deduct some of this or reduce this a little bit? I mean,
I've been on the council the longest, and I've had 2 other residents, or landlord was one of them, that came and asked for the same thing, Lou, and we denied it. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to support anything other than that. I mean, I can't change it for you if we didn't change it for the last 2 that I was involved in.
well, the thing I know is, and I believe Elaine was the one that, you know, 5 years ago, my niece lived with me. And she had a swimming pool. And she would call and say, you used a lot of water. Well, yeah, my niece filled the swimming pool. There was a hole in it. Drained it and we filled it again and I got a notice in a day. I do a lot of work for rural water. And I actually talked to Kendall Munson. And I maintain a couple properties outside of town. And people from New York will call me and say, our water bill was this much higher. And their stool was running. And they notified me within 1 day. And I went out there and I fixed the problem. Why did it take 160,000 gallons before I got notified? And I talked to Kendall and he says, well, it depends upon the hardware and the software that they have.
Correct.
You know, because it comes up on their computer at rural water every day. This is
We don't
not
have,
typical.
we don't have electronic metering here though, it's manually read.
It's the hardware and the software, but he said, but
Our meters don't read until the person comes around and they have to actually
yeah,
touch the meter with the deal.
Button. Mhm.
So unfortunately,
And
going
it-
by the draw, if your water's running, and it takes them
Well,
3 weeks, they're not gonna notice until they.
unfortunately, we don't have the same technology that rural water uses. Because they let you know immediately.
We don't. Not if
And I
water
think
bill, water bill, I think,
by the
about
time-
5 years ago.
Yeah, the
Prove it.
reading did come in. I mean, Kathy was very, I mean, she pulled the reports and got hold of Keith right away. So as soon as it was possible to get those readings, she was on it.
December 2nd.
Yeah.
I was just, you know, I know how much went through the meter. I know what it costs to process water. I was just hoping that I could get a little break. Because you make money on every gallon of water you sell.
We're buying our water.
Yeah,
I don't know what the
I
exact
understand that, but I was just hoping to get the break and get it down to the cost of what it costs us as city people.
Can't do it, Lou. I'm a no.
I got 2 questions for you, Lou. You said it was vandalism, you got homeowners insurance?
I can't hear you.
Do you have homeowners insurance?
Yeah,
Okay, do they cover that?
I already turned it in.
Okay, the other question is, I'm a friend of Harvey Salver, he had the trailer park out there for 30 or 40 years. And guess what, he had the same problem, leaked like a bat out of hell. We did not cut him a penny off. He had to pay the full bill. So I think the biggest thing, like Gerald said, if you even give a penny off, there's gonna be a lot of phone calls. that's our problem, because they're gonna go back probably 10 years. And everybody's either had trouble,
I understand that.
so it's not
I'm
personal.
just asking if there could be any breaks off.
I think, I mean, one idea is if you don't wanna pay $1,472 in one time, maybe we could do a
Payments.
monthly payment,
That
break it into a.
Well, you got the record right there, you know, my average usage.
No, I don't think we doubt the water usage was high, and you said yourself, the water went through the meter. So I think everyone fully understands that. The question now is, does the council want to decrease your amount of your bill, or maybe offer you an alternative to spread the payments over a period of time?
We can also waive
Well,
penalty. We can waive penalty.
Well, see, mine is automatically paid, drawn out, so
Oh,
it came out of my bank account already.
so it's already paid.
It's already paid.
Oh, I got you.
Was there a penalty on it, Elaine?
So this bill
The January
is
bill.
the January bill. So it hasn't come out of your account yet.
It won't until January,
Yeah.
Well,
and we can stop it if you want us to.
Mm-hmm.
well, it's gotta be
Is there-
paid, so it's gotta come out of the account.
Is there support in the council to reduce the bill? Is anyone in favor of that? I don't, so I
It
don't.
sounds like we've already set the precedence that we haven't done that in the past. So,
So are you interested in us prorating the bill over a period of a couple months, or?
Like I say, I haven't gotten a paycheck in 2.5 years. You know, I'm kinda on a strict budget. And Social Security just doesn't cover all of that.
Can you give me a year, so time payments?
I'm in,
How can we do the payments?
This is
so
a
we
big
have
fight.
system?
I mean, it's,
but it might be covered by your insurance. If you've turned a claim in,
well,
if it's vandalism,
it's $1,000 deductible. And, you should have a copy. Cause I went down to the sheriff's department and they, you know, inspected it and did that, and it cost me another $750 to have my geothermal pit pumped out. But yes,
We have too many other utilities in town too, where we already haven't given people breaks on electric. You know, families that struggle to pay bills in the summer and disconnects and reconnects and stuff like that, and water bills that, I know Elaine will work with you on making payments if you wanna make payments, but there's,
what sense does it make to make payments?
well,
You
just
pay
so you
your
don't,
bill,
just so it doesn't come out
and
all
then
in
you
one
go
month.
on from there.
Alright, if that's what you wanna do.
You know?
Yeah.
You had a flat tire in my car, oh, you put a new tire on there, do I give you $5 a week? No. No, I was just hoping to get a little break on this since it was a vandalism thing. And Gerald, you said it,
I'm sorry, man. I can't do it. I gotta stay pretty firm.
yeah, everybody else firm on it,
yes, sir.
can't give me a break?
It's not like it. Sorry.
Hey, I understand,
Thank you.
you know, I'm not stupid. You know, it ran through the meter.
But we are working on getting electronic meters for the water. We've been talking about it for the last couple of years. It's pretty expensive, but we are working on it.
That would be good, because like I say, rural water, they notify me within 1 day if I have a leak on this farm that I take care of down there.
Well, your best bet between.
You know, when the
Check your
school
meter
runs,
twice a week.
it depends upon, like when I had the bar on the weekend, I would make sure I went through and no stools were running, because it's a commercial rate. It's not a residential rate. And it would cost me $78 a weekend. for one stool running.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I took care of that. You know, when I saw this, got this notice, I'm like, shit, my basement must be full of water. Got a swimming pool down there. There's nothing.
Well, I think you heard what the council said, so it's up to you to either make the full payment or talk to our finance officer and work out an arrangement.
Full payment,
Okay.
take it out, and I'll deal with it later.
So, sorry to happen, but
I understand where you're coming from.
okay.
I was just throwing myself at the mercy. You know,
We probably all do the same.
you know, if I could get a little break,
Misfortunate.
you know, a couple $100 would have been fine. But, you know, it's up to you guys.
Okay, well, thank you, Lou.
Yeah, nobody else there. But as far as this dog park stuff goes,
He's gonna call you.
I was gonna go.
He's gonna call you.
I support that as long as we got the numbers and the figures and I believe sure we gotta go over
I'll do some more research and see what the fencing costs and do that and the sizes. And they have a
Lou,
10 by 10
Lou, I think we gotta move on here. I think Art's gonna make a phone call to you tomorrow, and then we'll continue that discussion at that point, okay?
Okay.
I'll call you, don't worry. I'll call you, I'll text you.
Okay.
Could you have anybody else but Art call me?
See, now I feel bad, Lou.
All right, next item, committee mayor report.
I like talking to Teresa way better.
Okay, we have no committee or mayor reports or department head or city administrator reports. Old business, first item, continuance of rezoning.
Well, I'm done, right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So the Raphael and Don Mendoza, are we gonna continue that?
They have not brought anything, and I think that was what you guys asked for last time, was them to bring some more information, what it would look like, some of that stuff, so I would just recommend we just
So we'll keep
continue
continuing
doing
that.
it till the next meeting.
Is it open for discussion, or you just wanna wait until they bring?
Let's wait till the drawings, otherwise we're not discussing anything on paper.
Do we need a motion to table it or not?
We do, yeah, well, I could always do that.
Okay, I'll make a motion to table that zoning request till the next meeting.
Shot second.
Motion by Tiedemann to table and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion table. New business, approval of Sioux Falls Regional Landfill as disposal site for solid waste for the city of Beresford.
Okay, starting in January, Ruth Sanitation will be taking over the contract for the garbage disposal. They approached us about using the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill up there. We did some checking in there. Our contract allows us to change that location or to add another location. And we've worked with Sioux Falls in the past, and we ended up switching to Vermillion about 10 years ago because the pricing was a little bit cheaper at the time. Sioux Falls had a per capita charge that we had to pay so much per person to, along with the tonnage, so it was more expensive at that time. Since that time, Vermillion has went up considerably, just about every year, a couple dollars a ton, where Sioux Falls has went up marginally. So Ruse doesn't want any more haul up there. It's closer to them anyhow. So for us, that would save us about $15 a ton. I think just approximately a little over $20,000 a year by using Sioux Falls. They will bill us monthly, just like Vermillion does right now. And they didn't have any other things other than I think each of the Ruse and some of those people get discounted rates for their other stuff if they have so much recycling being done. But we've got our own recycling system here in town, and they didn't ask about that. So we would just like the approval to authorize the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill as an additional disposal site.
Shall I make a motion to approve Sioux Falls Regional Landfill as disposal site for solid waste delivered from the city of Beresford, South Dakota, as Jerry Simon stated?
Need the dollar amount in that motion?
I don't think so, but
It changes periodically.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Sutton, seconded to approve Sioux Falls Regional Landfill as a disposal site for solid waste delivered from Beresford. Any further discussion? I have one question.
I do.
If we were to switch and then at some point want to go back, is there anything that would preclude us from going back to them?
I don't think so,
We just
no.
have to apply, reapply if it expires, the contract
Do we have a contract with the rubble site, you know?
in Vermillion.
I think we just pay the fees.
Mhm.
All we have to do is pay the fees for a commercial
Contract.
hauler.
Can't drop once a motion's been made, unfortunately.
May I ask a question?
You can't.
Fisher Disposal is
No,
no
you can't.
longer
Look, you can't. Once a motion's been made, the public can't comment, I'm sorry. So is there anything that would preclude us from going back if we need?
I don't think so. I mean, we just
Uh-huh.
pay the commercial rate, just like we always have. I don't think we have a contract with them.
No, it's just, they bill us monthly and
Yeah.
it's actually the carrier, like, Lauren Fisher had the contract with the city of Vermillion. And then we just have our billing agreement with them, that we pay it monthly.
Are there any limits to what Sioux Falls will take versus?
No. Really, all we have is the solid,
Maybe
municipal
think
solid
that
waste.
we have to
Okay.
get away from Sioux Falls and go to Vermillion again, Vermillion goes, hang on a sec.
Correct. We can still
Well,
haul both if need
And
be.
they did mention that too, that they could possibly haul to both.
That's what I'm getting at, somehow maybe to keep our contract active so we don't, somebody doesn't come in and then they say, well, now we're full for some reason and now we need to go back. Do we
And I know, Jerry, you mentioned the recycling, but I have a good friend that has a garbage company in Sioux Falls. Talked to him over the weekend, and he said Sioux Falls charges penalties for recycling items being in. Who's gonna get charged those penalties? Because I know, like, we're not requiring our residents to recycle, and that's probably one of the reasons they always do pay a premium price in Vermillion. But if Sioux Falls is gonna start charging us because there's plastic and aluminum and cardboard and everything else in our garbage, who's gonna pay those penalties? I've been told from a garbage hauler in Sioux Falls that they will charge penalties if recycling items are in the garbage.
I think Ruse is responsible for that. They have the contract with the city of Sioux Falls, so they're the ones that have to limit the amount of stuff that goes into it. So I don't know if they're gonna, if they dump all our garbage out onto it, just work through all that. I don't know.
I doubt they would, but
So,
as long as Ruse can cover the
we have
penalties.
a contract directly with
then-
them, so all we're just gonna be the paying agent pretty much, so.
I got
It's
a
on
question. Okay, according to, like Teresa said, can we just leave Vermillion? We don't pay a monthly fee, do we? So just leave Vermillion if we ever need it and just leave Sioux Falls as an additional. That'll work.
You can have two sites, Mark. We can have two sites to do this.
No, but I'm just saying, this is
We've done
only
that in
proving
the
this
past, so.
as a disposal for solid waste. Can't we kind of modify maybe that to say, in addition to Vermillion, if needed, we are approving the Sioux Falls Regional. Is that legal?
You already got Vermillion approved, so I don't think, we're just adding one article, I don't think.
Doesn't say you shall take all of your
Oh, okay.
solid waste.
Just one
It says
of the
approving
sites.
that as a disposal site, not
Okay.
the disposal site.
Okay, not the.
And maybe we use it once a week, we don't know for sure, but obviously, the more we use it, the more we save.
All right, thank you. No, I'll keep my motion on the table.
I think it's a legit comment that you made though about making sure that we're not down to one and then down to zero. And that's maybe something that you could touch base with Ruse about. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah,
do they have to get a contract?
all we signed up for, all we've done is just a billing account. Ruse has a contract with the city of Sioux Falls, all garbage.
No,
They're a licensed hauler to that site.
Do they have to have a contract with Vermillion for
Mhm.
us to
Yes,
advertise it?
they've already got that done.
Yep,
So
they just
do you have
got
a
that.
contract, and do you have any idea how long that lasts?
I think they reapply annually.
That's annually, I'm sure.
They all reapply annually. If you go on like Sioux Falls' website,
Does that cost them money to?
It does. It's like $300.
I think so.
Was it?
That's what Vermillion was.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Vermillion. I don't know about Sioux Falls.
So then if Sioux Falls shuts us down, though, Ruse is the one that's gotta find where to dump it. So they would have to,
They'll have to take it to Vermillion.
either that, but if the Vermillion contract expires and they don't renew it, they're the ones that have to find out where they're gonna dump it.
Well, if we have two approved sites, it's only prudent to ask Bruce.
Those are the only two regional landfills unless we want to go up
To get
to
a permit.
Andes or down in Nebraska, so that's the, and typically we would not be allowed to dump up in Sioux Falls. They're making an exception because our north half of Beresford is in Lincoln County, because normally they don't go down into Lincoln, or Union County and allow haulers to haul there, but being they've got a portion of our city is in Lincoln County, that's not a problem for you guys. They've been talking about it, Rue's already talked to them all about that, so.
I don't know what everyone else thinks, but I wouldn't be opposed to paying Bruce an extra $300 a year to keep the contract in Vermillion open if it was advantageous for us and cost effective for us to have them shipped to Sioux Falls just as an option.
Can we do that without?
I wouldn't do it now, because you got, wait till they start actually hauling. They've already got it licensed for 2021.
In Vermillion.
We can put it on the agenda for next meeting.
No, I'm saying sometime in 2021, you can
Next
revisit
year.
the issue.
Yeah, next year. Yeah,
Right.
in January or something.
If they've already got it paid for and licensed,
Yes.
and they're still delaying all that, so.
No further discussion. All in favor of the proposal for the Sioux Falls Regional Landfill, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, authorize Quamberg and Post to prepare year-end financial statements.
I received a letter from Quam Berlin Post, and so it would just be an agreement to do the annual report for us. And so it's just,
Shot authorizes Quannenberg and Post PC to prepare year-end financial statements.
Second.
Motion by Schott and second to authorize Quamberg and Post to prepare year-end financial statements. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Set hearing date for the Beresford Volunteer Fire Department Casino Night of January 30th. Is there a motion to approve January 30th?
Shall I make a motion to set hearing date for Beresford Volunteer Fire Department Casino Night to January 30th?
No, the hearing date is January 4th.
2021. Okay, if you want to do a motion for the public hearing for January 4th.
Okay. Have a hearing set date for Beresford Volunteer Fire Department set for January 4th, 2021.
Is there a second to set the public hearing for January 4th, 2021? Motion by Schott and seconded to set the public hearing for the application for one-day malt beverage license as January 4th, 2021. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing date set. MRES letter regarding local generating capacity.
Missouri River is just doing an informal poll vote with members about the possibility of adding generation. If any of the communities want to add generation or backup for to their systems. We looked at this a long time ago and it was very costly, and we chose not to go into it. But it did allow at that time certain businesses that might have their own generators to participate also, meaning they can sell power back to Missouri River if they want to start the generators up. And I think the only one that we have right now would be Hybrid Turkey. That'd be large enough to do them any good. So they're just doing a straw poll to see if we have any interest in adding any additional ourselves. And we've got a couple substations now. We're in pretty good shape, I think, in order to handle any of the load that we're going to have, unless for some reason we want to do that. And it seemed like at that time it was over $1 million a megawatt, so it cost about $6 to $7 million just to put enough to cover the city of Beresford at that time, just for the generators and all the other stuff that went along with it.
Natural gas thing, isn't it, when they do that?
Gas, yeah, natural gas, diesel.
Diesel. Yeah.
That's what we used to have here before we did our own. That's what the police station is. That's where they used to have the power plants years ago. But I don't see any real benefit to us to do this right now at this time. I mean, it's strictly a backup.
Okay.
I'll just let them know right now we're not interested in it. That's okay.
That sounds right. Discussion of informational items, SPML district meetings.
Again, we're doing a little straw poll here to see if anyone wants to move forward with district meetings as they have in the past at different locations. And the governor now just extended the emergency order I would believe that the municipal league's gonna probably come back and say they're not gonna allow any meetings anyhow, so, I don't know if you guys are thinking the same thing, but, if we wanna go to these district meetings, which usually start in March and finish up in April, you've been to a few of them. Brings a lot of people together all at once. I think we're trying to stay away from that as best we can, so. Unless somebody has any other ideas, I think probably just let her know that do it virtually if anyone wants to participate in the annual meeting side of it, but as far as the chance to go there and eat and all that kind of stuff, I would imagine that that'll be on limited basis if they do anything. Probably just board members only.
13's fine. Special meeting day, what date you all want?
I would like the 29th of December, if that works. Just because we're wrapping up the COVID CARES money, which is the 30th, and so if there's any bills, we'll be able to print them and have check numbers to submit for the 30th.
By show of hands, do we have a quorum that could show up on the 29th? I assume at about 5 o'clock.
Or 5:15.
We push it back to 5:30.
5:30, 6 o'clock.
6.
We have a quorum that could show up.
I can be here at 5:30.
What time are you on? 5:36?
I can do.
Anyone opposed to the 29th?
What time do you guys want? There's a lot of different numbers.
6 o'clock?
Does that work for you, Elaine?
6 o'clock. Teresa?
That's better for me.
Troy, does that work for you?
Yes, it does.
We don't need to vote, that's just posted, right?
Is that open to the public or is that
Yep.
just, okay.
Just pretty much to wrap up any bills to put in 2020 or any other business that needs to be taken place by the end of the year.
Okay.
It will be short and sweet.
All right.
Next item, is there a motion for payment of the bills?
What do you usually pay the bills?
I, Boone is second that motion.
Motion by Doug and second to authorize payment of the bills. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have executive session?
I talked to Mary.
I don't think we have. No further business for the council, meeting adjourned.
Boom.
Lou, to answer your question,
Did I ask one more thing?
you were gonna ask about sanitary, or the garbage.
What?
You were asking a question about the garbage, so I wanna answer that.
Well,
We took bids, we take bids on that every year.
yeah.
And Fisher was considerably higher this year than a company out of Sioux Falls or out of Keys, so
So
we
they're gonna do it?